father always says कि तू बहुत भाषण देता है, कुछ अच्छा कर, so that's why I'm here. I hope this makes some difference. Let me tell you, I'm as nervous as one should be on the first time on stage, but I'll try and courage up and speak not nonsense like my mother says, but impart some knowledge. What I want to do tell you is a little thing about myself. Photography is a fantastic art. This is an art which you don't really need to be blessed with in terms of like a singer. I think you need to have a voice. Of course, you need training to take you there, to take you ahead. Photography is, I feel to me, let me tell you, we start by at least actually showing you, because you should know who's here, what do. It could be just anybody. Could you just show some of my work over here to everybody? I was waiting for that response. It was intentional to keep the first picture of a bikini girl. Not to let the women go past. There's Ranbir Kapoor for you. The men need to do better for sure. The women were great now. Not to be left alone. Well, these are my journey in the past 14 years. I've been including my years as an assistant. I've been shooting, I can call myself a people photographer because that's what I like doing. When I say people means I shoot film stars, I shoot advertising, I do a lot of new people who want to enter this industry. Portfolios, doing portfolios and portraits for people is my passion, is what I like doing the most. Always gets that response. It was shot just 15 days back. Well, the beauty of my profession, I get to, it's very easy when you have such good looking people. These are images from a calendar I shot in Fiji Island last year with the Femina Miss India girls. Humor is important, I agree. These were not Photoshop. This is actually how he had built his body. A lot of people think that, but it's the dedication that he had for this. It's unbelievable. We had to postpone the shoot 4 months because he didn't feel his body was that shaped up. And those are pictures which were not posed for. He was actually working out and we shot those pictures. I do a lot of film publicity, so just to bring credibility why I'm here, I put these up. This was shot for Diwali. Somebody just asked me, who would you like to shoot? And to be very honest, I like just shooting anybody. I'm inspired by the next person who comes to me with a particular picture. But a month back, I was giving an interview to a US channel and they said, who's the artist that you really desire to shoot? And I said, it just came out, I would love to shoot Kajol. And I'm shooting on the 4th. So if you put your heart into something and if you give it a lot of, if you put the energy out, I think everything is attainable. I think we've seen enough. Thanks. Well, a little bit about myself. I started, I've done various things in my life. To be very honest, the thing that really started me on was I didn't want to take money from my parents. So when I came to my college, I started working. My first job was, I wanted to do some of my friends in college were doing a salesman job in some exhibition and they said, do you want to come and make a quick buck? So, of course, being a dutiful son, I went to my parents and said, would you allow me to do something like this? I don't want to disappoint you. So my father said, no, why don't you just go and work with your uncle and he's looking for someone. My first step, I worked that for 2 years. I've dealt in Italian marble. I've done tailor. I had a tailoring boutique. I've done film production. I've dealt in electronics. The quest was always to fend for myself, not to ever go up to my parents to take any money. I always had their support. Not that we were very rich. We come from a very modest middle class upbringing. Definitely a lot of family values. I still live with my parents. Photography happened to me quite by accident. It was never an intended job for me. I used to sail for a company called Damania Shipping, where I was a crew on board. I used to be a purser, if you could say, and we used to sail between Bombay to Goa. And I had 4 months monsoon break, and I got promoted in the first year, so I used to sail only about 10 days and 20 days of free time. Monsoons being 4 months of absolute time, I used to not sail. I went to assist a photographer called Dabu Ratnani. I'm sure you all have heard of him and stuff. I used to love his work. So I went to Dabu not because I just wanted to learn photography. I went to Dabu because I loved his work. And I went to him and he was a friend, and I said, I want to come and work with you. I really like the way you shoot pictures and stuff. And he was, at that point of time, Dabu had just started working, and he had a name for himself, and he was very open enough to invite me and said, sure. Those 4 months were very interesting. I used to wake up very early in the morning because Dabu used to work about 25 days a month. He still does that much of work. And I got into photography. I said, I'll go back to my job. He said, why don't you come? I asked him, can I come? Because I had to go back to my job. I just couldn't leave the job last minute. I was enjoying my job. He says, of course, whenever you were in Bombay, because I used to be in Bombay one day and one day in Goa. So I continued doing that. I enjoyed doing what I was doing so much. Here was something that I realized suddenly made me feel that maybe I'm an artist. I didn't know. I didn't know whether I was creative. And definitely I'm a Sindhi. So it's a business family. We know how to make money for sure. Like they say, what is this? They say it's a dead Sindhi. If he was alive, he'd be doing this. So I believe that I am good at making money. So anyway, I went to Dabu again, and Dabu said, come, and I just left my job after that. I did that for 8 months, and I just left my job because this was something I was enjoying so much. For a year, I didn't shoot. A lot of people, I didn't shoot because I didn't have a camera. I didn't have that much of confidence whether I could shoot or not. A friend of mine, basically, one of Dabu's friend himself, came up to me and said that, why don't I have something lying with me? It was a manual camera. It was not even an automatic camera, nothing. He says, you want to check into this? You can borrow it from me if you want. And that's how I took the camera and I started shooting, and I enjoyed, and I got some great shots. I got some great work. My first assignment was doing the Femina Miss India in the year 2000. Dabu himself had done it in 1999, and they were looking for a new photographer to come in on board. And in the year 2000, I went up to Dabu. I asked him, because I think it's very important to have your principles. I didn't want to, these were people I had met through him. And I did the contest. They loved what I was doing. Times of India, basically the publication that has the contest. That got me into a lot of more work. They decided doing work for Filmfare. There was no stopping back, because doing Femina Miss India got me Filmfare Awards, Filmfare South, and they signed me up for the next 3 years, 4 years to shoot with them. What I'd like to say is, a lot of people feel that there are two factions of it. Some people think it's very easy, some people think it's very tough. Questions keep coming up, how important is the camera when you want to shoot? What I'd like to say is, camera is not the only thing. You can actually, we all have phones today. You've got phones with 30 megapixel cameras and stuff. What is really important is to love what you do, and to basically enjoy, to learn, of course. You can pick up a camera, you can pick up a phone and take pictures. You don't necessarily need a great equipment to shoot great pictures. A lot of people come to me sometimes, like amateurs who want to come and assist me, come and work with me and stuff. I see their pictures and I feel inspired by them. I've gone to a game reserve to shoot a celebrity, but I never shot the animals there because my interest lies in shooting people. So I shoot people. But when I see pictures that they do, the kind of effort they put into it, and the kind of hard work, the kind of time they put into this, and it sometimes amazes me that this is also an art form. You know, you don't really. Everybody, it's like I said, it's the interest that you put into a particular job is what really matters and stuff. One thing for sure is you don't want to take it very easy. You have to be respectful to what you do. You need to understand. You need to learn, of course. A lot of people, when they come to me and say, what is the best way? You don't need. I was an assistant to somebody for 4 years. I had the privilege of working with Dabu and learning from him. I never really read a book or really picked up a book and stuff, but I was really good at picking up things, at looking at how things were done and making my own formulas. You actually learn a lot when you start shooting yourself and when you start taking the camera in your own hand and doing things and stuff. I'm a little lost here because there's so much to say and so much that has happened. What really inspires me always is even today when I shoot with people. Like, I have an instance I must tell you about Mr. Bachchan. My first time when I shot Mr. Amitabh Bachchan was for a film called Shootout at Lokhandwala. Director played a very nasty joke on me and said, yeah, you can shoot while he's, because I've never worked with him and stuff. So I said, can I shoot while the film is being rolling, and can I take pictures while he's acting or while the camera's on? And they said, yeah, you can do it. And I went and sat next to the cameras and took my place. And while he was looking at him through the lens itself, I just couldn't stop myself when I took his pictures. He stopped the camera, he says, you boy, you pack your bags and go home. It was very disheartened. I was very upset that how could this happen, and you know, it's my first day on a set and stuff. I went and apologized to him, of course, and he said it's okay, but you can shoot while I'm doing rehearsals. This is about 8 years back. I met Mr. Bachchan about 2 weeks back, shooting for something again while we were shooting this, and I said, sir, you remember that you know, I met you and this is not the first time I'm shooting you, I shot you for this. And he quickly retorted saying, I told you to pack your bags and go home. For somebody like him who meets so many people and he comes across hundreds of people, you know, on a daily basis, for him to even remember something like that, for me was like a big thing, you know. For me it was like, wow, this is something that, I mean, imagine how this man can calculate and remember the minutest of things and stuff. So we meet a lot of people in our profession, tons of people, they're good. Somebody from the media asked me that what do you say about people who who've come to a certain stage and have progressed in life, and are they rude? Like an artist who's new for once, and you know, when you start, you are new, but at a certain time when you become big, how do they, you know, relate? I said everybody has a right to take care of their own interest and to choose who they want to be with, who they want to shoot with, and I think it's protecting your own rights, it's protecting your own interest. Do you want to take over the session and talk about? I think I've spoken enough.
Right, so how many of you are pursuing engineering here? How many of you are pursuing engineering here? Okay. Okay, great. Okay, and how many of you are pursuing something academically, but you really don't want to do that? You know, you might be doing BSc, but you don't want to do that. Right? So, how many of you don't like what you're studying? Okay. So, another question. How many of you believe that we have only one life?
Everyone.
We have only one life. How many of you believe that? Okay, great. So, I believe that we have only one life. Although I'm a Jain, I've been brought up to believe that we have multiple lives and we should strive to achieve moksha and everything. But I believe we have only one life. Even if there is an afterlife or there is another life, we don't have proof of that, number two. And number three, even if there is proof, the fact is when we do come back, we come back with a fresh balance sheet. right? So what we have to do in this life happens in this life only. We cannot carry it forward to next life's balance sheet, right? And this is what I do. This is my philosophy in my own life, right? I try to live life to the full, number one. I try to live life differently. And the reason why I asked how many of you are engineering students, because I've done engineering, I've done MBA, and I've done IT. Absolute bores. I don't know which was worse. Engineering, science, MBA, or IT. Absolutely boring. However, the problem is we have to be real about life. And there are a few things that we need. We need to study well. We need to be out there in the job market. We need to be doing jobs. We need to be running our businesses because we need to earn money. We need to maintain our health. We need to have a good family life, and we need to have somebody in our lives to love. All that is important. That is what I call the oxygen of life. That is what you need to survive in life, right? If you don't have that, you don't survive, right? But where do you get that adrenaline in life? You know, call it oxygen on steroids, right? We cannot live life, you know, just like a start to end. You know, we are born, we go to play school, we go to college, we go do a job, then we get married, then we have kids, then we get send kids to school, and then we marry off our kids, and then it's old age. Life is over, right? So I'm not suggesting here that there is something alternate waiting for all of us. Maybe we have to go through life as software engineers. Maybe we have to go through life as doing any other job. Maybe we need to, as entrepreneurs, instead of running a high-tech.com, we might be making ball bearings. Maybe that's important. But there is more to life than that. And that is what I tell every young person, right? You guys are starting off, and you need to start looking at life very, very differently. You need to start inculcating different things in life, start looking at life differently. And what I did for myself, I started doing photography and writing. It's another matter that after doing my engineering, after doing my MBA, after spending a few years in IT, and I also did a few years in sports management, at the right age of 31, I went back to school. Okay, I went back to study at the age of 31 to study journalism. I wanted to be a journalist way back when I was 18, 19, but everybody told me, hey, you know, that doesn't pay. So family pressure, did engineering, did blah, blah, blah. 10, 12 years of my life, did all the things I didn't want to do. And then I studied journalism, went to school, came back, started working for the Express Group. Then I realized that I don't want to be writing my editor stories, so I did on my own. And I've been a freelancer, and now almost full time I do travel writing and photography, right? And lots more. So, and that's the story of my life, and that's the philosophy of my life. You see these kids here? I met them in Kargil. Now the thing is, they're not as glamorous after you're a rock star and you're Formula One and your models there. You know, they're not glamorous, but they hold important lessons in life. So I was driving in Kargil, so I stopped my car to take some photos. And suddenly, I see these kids, you know, from the field below, they're coming up and running up to me. And as instinct has it, I thought, okay, you know, they might be expecting some chocolates or some biscuits and all. I usually carry those because when I stop at places, I start chatting up children and locals, and I share some goodies with them. It helps make friendships, it breaks down barriers. However, this was the most humbling moment of my life so far, because when they came up to me, they did not ask for anything, but they gave me fresh peas from their fields. You see closely what they're holding? They're holding fresh peas, because when they saw us taking photos, they, you know, so maybe their elders or they themselves loved peas, and they came running up to give that to us, right? And I'm telling you, I can say it openly, I've never felt so small, because I thought they were going to ask me for chocolates and biscuits, but no, they came to give me something, right? And that is what travel does to me, right? And that's my philosophy in life. I travel. What do you guys do? You're students right now, and this is the best time of your life. This is the time when you will build the foundations of what you're going to do in the future. I'm not saying travel is for everyone. I'm not saying photography is for everyone. I'm not saying writing is for everyone. Find your own calling. Find something in life that makes you lively all the time. Because Monday to Friday you do your job, so you look forward to the Saturday and Sunday. 9 to 5 you do your job, so you look forward to it in the evening. Right? So that's what should guide you. And my journey started in 2007 on the Kunzum La in Lahore Spiti. And when I was driving that region in 2007, that's when I decided I'm going to do full-time travel writing and photography. And why do I travel? For the same reason that I've been telling you. Because for me, travel is not just entertainment. For me, it's an avenue of self-growth, an avenue of self-discovery, an avenue of making my life more fulfilling, and it sets my life free. It sets my life free from the stereotypes of what we've been brought up to believe. Right? So you see the Sun Temple, we all know of the Sun Temple in Konark, but this is a Sun Temple I discovered in Kashmir. Almost no one knows about it. Right? It allows me to understand the present, the past, the future. You see this girl here? She's also in Kargil, near Kargil rather, on the way to Zanskar and Ladakh. Right? And it's this is another village where we stopped. And again, the moment we stopped, we had these children come from all over, and they were just seeing us take photographs and all. And it was a very interesting thing because, okay, as usual, we wanted to be friendly with them, and then we always had goodies for them. So I gave them a packet of biscuits, and she was a ringleader. So she actually took the biscuits and she started giving it to one to each of the kids. And when we were leaving, like she just put her head like this into the car, and that was like the shot that she took, that I took instantly. Okay. So when I travel, when I meet people, when I see landscapes, when I understand cultures, I get answers to why things are the way they are, why people behave the way they do, and why a planet looks and smells the way it does. Right? Sitting at home does not broaden our perspectives. We only stay caught up in our own stereotypes. Okay? I know where I'm coming from, and I know it gives me a sense of direction as to where I should go. Okay? It tells me that the people, the culture, the values of this planet need to be preserved, as well as the planet itself. Because when you go out there and you travel, you see what a beautiful world out there, what a beautiful planet we have, but how it's also being ruined. And that's when all this green movement, this environmental movement, that's when it really hits you, right? All of us have studied about the Harappan Valley civilization, right? Yeah. The Indus Valley civilization, we've all done that, right? How many of you have actually gone to a Harappan site? Right? Hardly any of us. Why? I wish our schools had taken us to places like Dholavira and Lothal, and there are I think some sites in Punjab also and otherwise, which are not very far. But no one takes us. Why? Right? So, but that's a debate for the education system. But there is nothing stopping us from going now. Right? So, when I travel, it makes me happy. And when you're happy, you stay healthy and you feel younger. And like I said, travel sets me free. And again, what I said earlier, it shatters the stereotypes that we have been brought up to believe in. Right? You set your own agenda for life. You do your own thinking. Right? And how many of you love coffee? Right? Which is the best coffee you've had? CCD, Barista, Starbucks, right? I'm telling you, when you go to dhabas like these, that's when coffee tastes the best. Right? Carry on this cafe. It's a different flavor altogether. Right? When you are traveling, you actually see the stars that you don't see in the cities. You know, this site over here, this is Ladakh again. So I was shooting one of the evenings next to, this is the Indus River. Again, our schooling has taught us so much about the Indus River, but most of us can't even visualize where it actually is. So when you go to Ladakh the first time, and then somebody tells you, that's the Indus River, it's like, wow. Right? So we never thought, and that is one of the most beautiful, it's probably the most beautiful river in India. Unfortunately, the Ganges and the Yamuna have been ruined. Brahmaputra is good in parts and bad in parts. but the Indus River is absolutely beautiful. And when I was shooting this, it was a little after sunset, and suddenly I see something rising from behind the peaks, right? And I said, like, what the hell is that? The sun has set, so what's coming up? And I realized it's the full moon. How many of you have seen a full moon rise? You've all seen sunsets and sunrises, right? You've seen? Where? Wow, there's your house. I need to take a plot next to that. Right? So when you travel, so metaphorically, you actually see the moon rise and literally too. Right? And again, that's the woman I met in the Dal Lake. Right? She's nearly blind. Right? But these are shots that will stay with me forever. Right? And when I go and meet people, for me the definition of social changes. Right? For me, the definition of friends is not Facebook anymore. It's people I meet on my travels. They are my friends. And funnily, I've been traveling professionally for the last 5 years. Before that, I was a tourist. Last 5 years, I've become a traveler. Right? And today, most of the friends I socialize with, okay, this is not to say, so before I continue, my old friends from school, college, and in other walks of life, they're still my very good friends. But my day-to-day socializing is actually with friends I've made in the last 5 years on my travels. Right? Obviously, your day-to-day socializing has to do with people who live in the same city. And who are they? They could be photographers, they could be writers, they could be those leading stressful and busy corporate lives, they could be businessmen leading stressful business lives. However, I met them on my travels, and why we became friends? Because we realized that life's tensions will go on, right? But we need to go beyond that. So they take out time from the businesses, and they drive to Ladakh for 3 weeks. They would go to Lahore Spiti, they would go to Nepal, and I meet them in different places. And then you realize, okay, our minds meet. Why? Because we cannot say, I can't travel right now because I've got my college, I got my job, my boss will be unhappy, what do I do with my girlfriend? Because if I go to travel, my girlfriend will run away with somebody else. Right? So, all that, wo chalta rahega life mein. Right? So, the important thing is, just go and do what you need to do. And so these are the kind of people I meet. They're such beautiful people. Even your people are beautiful, no doubt, right? But they are also beautiful, right? And it all led to an experiment called the Kunzum Travel Cafe in Delhi. I run this place, and I invite all of you when you come to Delhi, come over to Hoskas village. We have this cafe, which is a unique cafe in itself. What is it? It's the face-to-face book for travel. If you enjoy travel, if you enjoy film, if you enjoy photography, if you enjoy anything to do with creativity, you come to us. We serve tea, coffee, and cookies. We offer free Wi-Fi. We have a library of travel books. We do music gigs. We show films. We do travel talks. We do sketching sessions. We do photography classes. We do everything, right? And you can spend as much time as you like. And the best part is, when you come there and you order tea, coffee, cookies, you pay what you like. We will not give you a bill. For us, it was a social experiment. Everyone said, oh, ये तो बाहर मजमा लग जाएगा, वो तो हम सब free coffee लेके आ जाएंगे. I said, आने दो. Let's see what happens. It's been just over 2 years, and I think it's been a great experiment and a great success because it's brought out the best in people. Again, the stereotypes we had about people, just because you're saying you decide the price, people will abuse it. No, they will not. Because we are all good people, we're just caught up in our own thinking and stereotypes. Right? And that's what you have to start thinking. If you want to set up a cafe, I'm not saying you go and pay what you like, but think of something different. Whatever you do in life, even if you're a software programmer, think of something different. Only then will you create a Facebook. Otherwise, you'll be a coder for Facebook. Right? You could be doing a boring day job, or you could be doing something exciting. Right? So in a boring day job, you can do something creative, and at the end of the day, every creative and glamorous job, it's still a job. Right? Traveling might seem a great career. Yes, it's fun. But I still come back, I have to do my writing, I have to publish my books, I have to go and market them, I have to do all that. Right? I don't think you go on a date with every model you shoot, right?
Well, what I would want to add to what you're saying, Ajay, is that ultimately your passion has to drive you. When you do something, which is what I started very late in my career in photography, and like Ajay is saying, I got into photography. Photography happened to me by accident. I never intended to be a photographer. I never planned to do. I never studied that. I've done various things. My interest was to find something in the quest of something doing in my life. I didn't want to take money from my parents. It was my first thing. I've done various jobs, 2 years, 3 years, and I got into photography. It was not something, it was something that I realized when I got into it, that it's a passion that is driving me. Like I said, I've been to a game reserve, I didn't shoot animals. I went to shoot a model, I shot a model there. That is what inspires me. So do what inspires you. Take the first step. Even Roshan came here and said it's about creating, it's about taking the first step. It's about going ahead and doing the initiative and not just planning to do that. I didn't have a camera, like I said. I took a basic camera and I started shooting. And I started taking pictures. I realized when I showed my work to people that this is something which is, when I'm seeing your work also, Ajay, I get paid for this. You do this as a passion. But I get paid because for me initially was not to get into this job and do it for money. I did it because it was creative satisfaction. One thing, my journey in life just took me to these things to shoot celebrities because I just wanted to shoot pictures. I never got into photography saying I'm going to make money. I never got into photography. My passion was I realized photography to me was about finding that this is something that interests me. In doing my 10 other jobs, I found a way of expressing myself. I realized I was good with people in bringing across the best in them, in giving them a platform. Like I said, for me, the average newcomer is also as interesting as a celebrity to me. It's not important that only celebrities shoot great pictures. They are celebrities because we've got them, we enjoy, they do a particular job and they are popular. So it's about, for me, my passion is about people, and I see Ajay's work and I'm inspired by him doing things like these and travel. I've been to these places and I know how it may be very easy for people to think that it's easy to capture, but it's about having the eye, like the rising moon. It's a fantastic picture. It's a memory. And what better way to do something that finally also gives you that satisfaction, also makes money for you. My parents supported me in everything I've done. That is my batting. For me, it was always that I ventured out and they've seen I've made a success of it. Wherever I worked, if I was working as a purser, I was the only one who was promoted out of 51 people in the whole company because they loved what I just proved myself and said I did with a passion. Find your passion. Find what drives you. Just pick up, do your studies, learn, pick up things and just make the initiative in what you want to do. Don't let anything stop you. It's very important.
And that's another thing I want to take off from what you said. In whatever you do, you have to strive for excellence. Right? Don't come and tell me that you are an MPhil in English literature, but you don't know your P's from your Q's. Okay? You're not. If you want to study English literature, you better be good at it. You better be good at it, otherwise don't go. Why? Because you're taking somebody else's seat. Right? Go and sit at home, get married, make kids, do whatever you want to do. But don't go and take somebody's seat. Why? Because in our country, the education system is very skewed and it's a very scarce commodity. Right? And I am guilty myself because I went into engineering. I excelled till I was in school, and I went into engineering because I was forced to do that, and I didn't excel. And if I reflect back, I should not have taken that seat up. Right? I went to one of the best colleges in India, but I wasted the seat for somebody else because I never used that engineering knowledge. Right? So you have to be good at whatever you do, and passion follows that. You cannot be passionate about something and not be good at it. Right? Because remember one thing, whatever you do in your life, at some stage you're going to turn 60. And 60 is that magical number where you slow down. And then you're standing here at 60 and then you look back the last 60 years. You don't want to feel stupid about it, right? Because then you can't do anything about it. You guys are lucky that you are at 18, 19, 20, 21. You can still do whatever you want. When we were in college, when we were 20, 21, there was no choice but to go and find a job. Today you guys can experiment. If at 21, if I took a year off and I went traveling and came back and asked for a job, you know, the HR manager would reject me. Why? Because you're a wacky guy, we don't want you. Today, a wacky guy has a position waiting for him or her. Right? So remember that. Experiment with your life. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Life will not stop you, only come back richer. I love that concept of gap year in the West. You take a year off between school and college, or college and second college, or college and job. Take a year off at least now and then. Nothing will happen, because whether you're driving a Santro or a Formula 1 car, eventually it takes you from point A to point B. Right? The important thing is, where are you coming from and where do you want to go? Do you know that? Or are you just floating along in life? Right? So I live my life to the full. I have had challenges. It's not that I'm making great crores of money what I'm doing. For a long time I was dipping into my savings. But fine. I said, as long as I keep my head above the financial waters, as long as I don't push myself down to poverty levels, I'm okay. Right? So you need to figure where you guys are headed next. You need to take something back from here, because we had great sessions all day, and I wish somebody had told us when we were your age about all these possibilities. These are some of the books I've written, and again, here also I've broken the mold. Why? Because I decided to do books myself. I didn't give them to Penguin, or I didn't give them to HarperCollins, because I wanted to write my books my way. That's why I quit a job with newspapers. I started doing my own writing. I started doing my own blogging. I do my own books. I do paper books. I do e-books. I do all that stuff. Right? Why? And what's the message? I'm not saying you start doing that. The message is experiment with your life, be creative, and just do whatever you feel you should be doing.
I would like to add that again, somehow I feel like what Ajay also said right now, that for a forum like this, for us to come here and stuff is not about saying follow us. It's not about saying that we are good and do what we do or do anything of that sort. Like Ajay said, he was an engineering student and he realized that that was not something that he was enjoying doing. Why would somebody who's an engineering student start getting into traveling and photography and open a cafe and stuff? Because even after going through the studies, putting in that effort, putting in that money, he finally comes and does something that he enjoys. In life, find what pleases you. I know sometimes it's not very easy to just take a quick call and finish your graduation or stuff. Do things that start developing a taste, look what interests you. Everything is achievable today. A couple of years back, maybe it was not as easy. Today, you want to find out about anything, about anybody, you can just go on to Google and find out about everything. You have all the information available to you and stuff. Find that one thing that really inspires you, that really moves you. You could be a very bright, you want to study to be a doctor, but if cooking is what really you enjoy, then try and find that. I'm not saying leave that and start becoming a cook now. What I'm just saying is that if that is what drives you, you never know that, it may lead you to 10 other things in life. But definitely look for something. I've done, all that I've done in my life, I've moved on because I realized that, okay, maybe it was interesting, but it was not interesting enough for me. I've been in this business for 14 years today. Like I said, I do what photography also is a wide field. I did it because, and I do it because I enjoy this. Enjoy what you do. Even if it means chemistry, biology, engineering, you have to put in your best and put in your heart and soul. And one last thing I want to share. The most common statement I hear from people is, oh, you are so lucky you get to travel. Two things, right? When I travel, it's still a job, okay? And I started doing this only at the age of 37, right? So what I'm saying is, it's never too late to change the course of your life, right? That's something that you all should remember. You can keep experimenting, and you can keep changing the course of your life. It's never too late. And number two, when they say, oh, you're so lucky you can travel, I tell them that traveling does not mean that you go out of station. Traveling starts when you step out of the door of your house, right? One of the books I've written is Delhi 101. I've spent 42 years in Delhi, and I spent a year traveling in Delhi to write this book.
Why? Because there is so much to discover in your own city, and you live in, all of you live in Jaipur. It's such a wonderful, beautiful city. You can go out every day and come back with a new story. So I think our time is up, and your time has started. Do something with it.